Hi, this is Margaret Cho. You're listening to the Monsters of Talk. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Jim Short.
Well, we had a wonderful time. In Sydney, we went to go see our friends Tegan and Sara. Wasn't that amazing?
It was fun, fantastic, yeah.
It was so incredible. And, the show at the Sydney Opera House was just phenomenal. And then afterwards, we got to sit down with them and have a nice chat. So here it is. We're so excited because we're here with Tegan and Sara, who just played an amazing show at the Sydney Opera House, which, I mean, I think it's so great because we're just seeing, like, these young queers out for the first time at, like, their parents' venue.
Yeah, that's really true. We used to always have this funny thing with... we used to do a lot of college campuses. We used to always say it was sort of like gay prom, like at our shows.
Totally.
You know, like we would see these kids that would
prom.
like be super psyched to come out to a show, and they were young, and they would sort of dress up, and they would be sort of like dressing in all their like craziest outfits and that sort of thing. And I guess we've seen that really, really take off with people like Lady Gaga, and I guess our audience is a little bit more like buttoned up, probably like us, more representative of how we're a little bit more like buttoned up as people. But you're totally dead on. Like tonight, it's like lots of cool queer kids and everything at the really fancy venue.
They feel important, you know, they feel like adult and they feel like they matter for the first time. Like for a lot of these kids, like they actually matter. Like they're like, oh my God, we're in the world and like something is here for us in this like historic venue that is so, you know, so much about the establishment. And when I played here, I just felt so, I felt so excited that these kids got a chance to like, you know, be here. Of course, my audience is a little bit older than yours too. You know, there's some of the same crossover, but you know, I'm like your parents' audience.
No, as if you're like the child that was planned, and we're like the children that were the accident. No, like we have like the.
No, it's a really nice. It's really neat as an artist. I'm sure you've experienced this too, where you get to come to a city over and over again and play a variety of venues. That's a big thing for Sara and I. We typically would prefer to try a new venue. I don't care if it's the exact same capacity. It's just about each time we come to a city experiencing a different setting. You know, it changes the music. You can come and play the exact same songs, but it'll really affect how the show goes or how the set list is created. And a night like tonight, we've been playing that set for a month now straight, but every night we were playing it at a huge festival or in a rock club. Yeah. So to come here and play it, it had a completely different energy. You know, the set was a little bit longer because we talked more and we told stories.
Which
and
I love.
We were able to interact with the audience more.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's totally how we built our audience, was through this idea that you could come to a Tegan and Sara show and actually... It was different every single time. You could see us more than once on a record cycle, but never would the show be the same. Like it was always going to be different. And tonight was really special because of that, you know.
Yeah, it was really different. Also, this album is so rock. You know, it's so dancey, it's so rock and roll, so energetic, and you know, it's still emotional. Like all of your music is super emotional, but this one has got like such a fire that is so like
it's lively.
It's lively. I mean, it's really perfect for anything. I mean, it's perfect for anything like the rock, like sort of like the rock festival experience. But I love that I got to see it here. Just so exciting too. And we were like, you know, we were just rocking out. It was so cute. With all the people.
Isn't it great to see somebody in a kangaroo suit dancing about?
I was so sad because I was like the only one out of the whole band who missed it. You know, I did not see it.
It was right on your side.
Yeah,
too.
I tend to try not make too much eye contact with the people right in front of me, just in case they feel as awkward as I do.
Here's what I'm interested about, because this is like the second person I've seen dressed up in an animal outfit in like less than 14 hours. So I'm like, is this like a really common thing? People like to dress up as like the sort of the indigenous animals of the country?
That might be the new movement.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
He's from Australia, so he might have shed some light.
Well, we're just proud of the animals we have, and we'd like any chance to dress up as them. Probably.
I mean, I think we're like really into Canadian animals too.
Wait, what are Canadian animals?
Like
beaver.
Well, the beavers
really?
obviously there's lots
That's
of
on
beavers.
our money.
There's beavers and like moose and deer.
Oh, I forgot about moose.
Yeah.
But wait, is it a beaver on your money?
Yeah, like on our nickels and you know, like it's like the beaver. I don't know, because there's like beavers in other places. I mean, I've been in upstate New York and seen beaver dams. I don't know why we took so much pride in these beavers, but
That's like every time someone says,
the
"Oh,
geese?
you're from Canada," they're like,
Canada geese.
they're like,
Beaver.
"Oh, you know,
geese.
Yeah.
maple syrup and bacon," and I'm like, "Doesn't everyone have maple syrup and bacon?"
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it originated in Canada.
It doesn't
Maybe
have to
that's
be
what it is.
Canadian. But
No.
then I think Australia also wants to claim Tegan and Sara as their own because they love you. I mean, they love you all over the world, but here
It's a big crowd.
they love you. I mean, it's like they really, I think they want to claim you.
You know,
They
what's-
can have us.
You know what's really interesting too is we were talking about this before our show. I think it was our second or third time coming over to Australia. This would have been about 2003, 2004, and we were actually here in support of another artist, an Australian band, and we were just like the opener and you know whatever. And we actually they ended up canceling the tour because of illness, and we were over here. We actually had our mom with us, and we had spent our own money. We didn't have a lot of label support. We were really panicked, you know, like that we were gonna have to like just eat the cost of the tour and go home.
Sell Sarah on the
and
black
so
market.
we
Oh,
were,
no.
it was so crazy. So you know, that was kind of one of the ways, like that tour, going out and like sort of talking to the crowds and saying like, please stay, like, you know, the band that you came to see isn't going to play tonight, but
Ooh.
like we're going to play, so stay
Yeah.
and watch our band. And we ended up doing a lot of press around, okay, the tour's been canceled, but you guys are going to carry on and do this tour. And it's sort of like, I think it ended up engendering kind of feelings of ownership over the people who stayed and discovered us and decided that they wanted to support this band. And it created this really interesting narrative in the press that I don't think that we had like found the right footing with them yet. And all of a sudden we had this kind of like this story like, oh, well, we're over here and we're going to play the shows no matter what. And we ended up playing, you know, to sometimes half empty rooms, but we ended up getting that audience to stay and playing for them. And they've stuck with us and they've like repaid us. Like we sort of like have repaid this thing back and forth with them where like we needed them. So we like play our butts off and come here at least twice an album cycle, which I think is a lot for a Canadian
is a
band.
lot.
And we
That is
really,
a lot.
really like love them and want to support them, and they support us every album now. So
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And this last album is so incredible.
You're sweet, thank you.
I love it so much. Well, I love all of your music, but it's so great to see, like, you know, an album is really like a child. You know, it has its own personality and its own kind of like direction in life and stuff. And I feel like it's just getting started. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like your big, big baby.
I
Like,
can't wait for it to be a teenager.
A huge baby.
A huge baby. That's cool. I mean, there was, you know, a few months of nervousness when we started debuting the new songs. I you know, our fan base is very vocal, and we definitely talked a lot behind the scenes about if the fan base was going to accept and get past the production, because I think that these are our best songs that we've ever written, and I think the more people listen to this record, the more these songs are going to ingrain themselves in these people. And I think that I think we're giving, I think The Con is our most loved record, but I think we're going to give The Con a run for its money, because I truly believe, based on the performances of these songs live, that we're going to reflect a whole new level of intimacy and intensity with our audience. So it's really exciting, because it is a record that will evolve. I truly believe it is a record that will, over its life cycle, which will probably be 2 years, you know, of touring, will probably really grow and change in the minds of fans. I hope, anyway, because it's an exciting record to play and to
It's awesome.
give to the people. So, you know,
did you guys make it in, where did you make it? Did you make it in Bryan Adams' studio?
we actually made it in Los Angeles in a couple of different studios, but mostly with this guy Greg Kirsten, amazing producer, who, you know, works with like all the big female pop stars mostly. Like, I mean, we know him from working with like Kelly Clarkson and Kesha and Pink, and I just saw that he and Sia wrote a song for Beyonce's new record. So we knew him as like kind of like a big pop guy, but then he also had made like the Shins record, and he had been like an amazing sort of like avant-garde, almost like keyboard bass guy in New York back in the like 90s, in the late 80s. So I thought that he was like he was kind of like hip, but then he was also like a masterful pop producer kind of guy. And we had so much fun with him. And he just like has this like amazing studio in his basement in his house. When I say basement, you're thinking like
misleading.
It's misleading. It's sort of like it's like a mansion's basement, you know? It's like you go down and you're like, who do I have to kill or sleep with to get this basement recording studio? And he just has like these great dogs and this wonderful family, and he's just got like this really wholesome and sort of I don't know, like
a lovely approach.
disciplined lifestyle. Like he works from 10 till 5. Like there's no partying. there's no
apparently you
rocking.
can He does
Okay, I know
with
for
other
certain
artists at
people
different
he will.
times. Yeah.
He'll. I mean, if you're Beyonce, I'm sure he's like, oh, I'll work 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I mean, he's not going to be like, Beyonce, please cool it, But with Tegan and Sara, it was very disciplined, structured, like 10 to 5. It was a really interesting work experience. Probably not everyone's cup of tea, but for us, we're sort of like masochistic Virgo Canadian, so we were like, oh yes, 10 to 5, perfect. And we would just come in, work, and then go home and go to bed early, and
that's perfect.
It was wonderful.
That's really great.
Yeah,
that's
interesting.
Really great.
Do you feel like, I have a question for you, is that
Yes.
okay to ask? Is
Yes,
that protocol?
please.
Is that allowed?
Yes.
So I was thinking it while Tegan was talking about this album for us is like a totally, like a departure, like a crazy departure in terms of like, we have to warm up. It's almost like we were running for our lives all of our career, and now we're like really training for the marathon. Like I feel like we have to like use our muscles and our brains in a totally different way. Like what do you think the equivalent is in what you do?
Maybe it's kind of like if you're like you're doing comedy and then you decide to do like a movie.
Right.
And then that's kind of like the similar thing, like you just sort of change, maybe you kind of change the clothing of what you're doing, but really you're kind of doing the same thing. You're still an entertainer, but you decide to sort of maybe, or for me, maybe it's like working on somebody else's project for a while, or working like on a television show as an actor. So it's that thing where you're pretty much, you're using the same shell,
right,
but you're going to do something else. So that's I think the closest way what do you think?
Well, and plus you've done music too, which is a huge stretch.
That's a huge.
What's the
that's
most challenging for you? The music.
The music is the hardest because I think music for me, it's really like I have to use my body as an instrument. When you're a singer, that's a huge, because for comedians, our bodies are kind of, we don't really care.
You're right.
Because it doesn't really have to sound good. But with singing, it has to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
And you have to, bring yourself up to that. And that to me is very challenging.
Yeah.
And it's a different thing. And then you think, oh, is my audience going to accept this? But, like in the song that we did, there was a lot of humor in it. So it's not even really that much of a stretch, and it was just kind of another way to frame it.
You bridged the two worlds.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Yes.
Okay, so for us, like we do a lot of our writing, independent of one another, and then there's like a demo process, which is still fairly solitary, and then you send the song out, and by the time, basically what I'm trying to say is, by the time people finally hear the song and there's an actual physical exchange between you and the listener, it's been like sometimes a year. So I'm wondering about what you do. Like, do you feel like you need that feedback from an audience way sooner? Like, or can you leave something and sort of like let it
work on it for a year?
Oh yeah. Well, for me, it's a way less of a collective decision. I mean, there are things like, we've been writing a lot on this trip, different jokes specific to Australia, especially about gay marriage and trying to get it passed here. And also, there's these things like, there's like laws here, like in Queensland, which I think you're going to.
Yeah, Brisbane.
In Brisbane, the age of consent is 16, but the age of anal sex consent is 18.
Right.
So it's just a built-in like homophobic
That's nuts.
thing. So, you know, we have like kind of a mission behind it. So I'm trying to write jokes about like, how's my asshole going to tell the difference of 2 years?
Yeah.
But, you know, is there a bouncer right outside my asshole? But these are like collective decisions that we're making that are really about.
That joke can't wait a year.
Yeah,
Like your process, it has to be straight out there.
this room.
We won't have time.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's so for me, I think, and for Jim, you know, we're like here and it's more immediate.
Yeah.
So, but for a song, the lifespan of a song is actually probably much longer, I think, than an asshole joke. What do you think?
You know what?
It depends. You know, it depends.
You're right.
If it's a good asshole.
Some assholes are eternal, though.
Yeah. Seriously.
Some assholes are forever.
Yeah, for real.
But I mean, I think that like with a song, because you're working with a band, because you're working with each other,
Yeah.
and you guys are so different from each other too. So it's an interesting idea for me, knowing you personally both, that you're also a songwriting duo.
Yeah.
Because that you have such different, even like voices and different attitudes and approaches to music and approaches to songwriting. So it's amazing that like I can see all the parts coming together, and that's why your songs are so beautiful, because you really pull together such different worlds.
Right.
You know, and I think that's one of the remarkable things about you guys is that you are twins, but you're so different.
Yeah.
It's really true. Yeah, no, and I was thinking about it, like, I'm reading this book right now about running, and, you know, and the author is talking about, like, you know, like, just all the different ways you can run and how that will change your physique, like, as you're running, you know, like, like, the way you run will just change certain parts of your body, and I was thinking about how Tegan and I, you know, our spirit or whatever it is that fills our bodies and makes us walk a certain way or talk a certain way or whatever, like, that has completely... we started off with the same goods, if you will, you know, like all the same sort of genetic options, but maybe because of the way that Tegan is, or her spirit or her character or whatever, she made different decisions, and so she is so different from me, and like she just decided, even though we have all the same sort of like mechanics, she decided to sing in such a different way, and like I find that really sort of mysterious and wonderful, you know, as we become better songwriters and better singers, and we understand our craft better, I can really appreciate, wow, like Tegan has the same vocal cord in theory, like I mean, you know, she should have the exact same voice as me, and yet she fills her, you know, her body with air in a completely different way and releases that air and has a completely different sound than I do. And like, and that's like, you know, like as when I was younger, I wouldn't have even cared about that or thought about that, and now that seems really special, and I think it really does have so much to do with like how our lives, you know, have been different and how we've carried ourselves through them, you know?
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
It is kind of neat.
It's beautiful, and it's beautiful in the way that the expression of it comes out in your music, your individuality, and it coming together in a band.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's so profound. You know, it's really beautiful.
Well, and that we can continue to grow, not apart in the sense that like we have less to do with each other, because in fact we have more to do with each other than ever, but that we can grow and become such remarkably different people, and yet we still can collaborate and harmonize with one another,
and actually like, weirdly making probably more cohesive records.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
The more
like,
different we are, we've actually probably been able to come together and make
well, the two pieces, instead of shoving two of the same things together all the time and trying to make it seem like two things, is that
gay sex what you're doing?
I don't know. It's like I mean, it's like I mean, like, you know, when we graduated high school and we were like in this band all of a sudden and traveling around the world and T-shirts with our names on it, and it's just the two of us, and we struggled, we butt heads so much. We were it was such a difficult time because everyone saw us as a duo. Everyone just saw us as this partnership. We didn't have that time. Everyone graduates high school and they go to college. They become their own person. They get to explore their you know, new side without their family and living in their home and whatever, all that. And we didn't get to do that. We were immediately in the back seat of a car, you know, traveling around the world. But over the last 14 years, we've continued to create these separate lives and personalities, and I think it's allowed us to take these two different pieces and now put them together to make something really great, you know. And I think that's why our records continue to evolve and change, not just because we want to make millions of dollars.
Right. Are you making millions of dollars?
Yeah, you're making millions, right?
Am I? Yeah. Doll hairs.
Doll hairs.
Doll hairs.
Yeah.
Doll hair.
Millions of doll hairs.
Yeah.
Doll hair.
Yeah, because that's what you've been making. That's what the accountant is paying me in, is doll hairs.
Yeah.
Just doll hairs.
Sacks of doll hairs everywhere.
Yeah.
I really like the story that you told tonight about saying goodbye to your teddy bears. Good night.
Yeah. We had a complicated childhood, not compared to a lot of people, but certainly compared to some. Like, our parents were very young when they married, and they separated when we were 4, and we were quite enamored with my dad, and he was, you know, he'd had a rough childhood growing up, and so he loved us so much and wanted to give us everything. So when he left, it was really difficult, and Sarah and I acted out in really strange ways. Like, my parents would wake up and we would be organizing everything in our rooms, like in the middle of the night. They were like, okay, enough with the OCD.
We were really afraid of fire, so we would tie all of our stuffed animals together so that if we had to leave quickly, like, we could just take all of them at the same time. Like, we were obviously very worried about things, you know.
You could just grab.
Yeah, you just grab one, and then all of them would be tied together. Like, we always put everything in the car in a seatbelt. You know, like really weird, funny little ticks, but. Yes, tonight I revealed on stage yet another of them. I'm sure fans out there are collecting all these crazy tics of ours and strange memories from childhood that come out randomly. I haven't thought of this in the longest time, but we had wallpaper in our bedrooms. Sarah and I had the same wallpaper, and it was a half wallpaper. This was very popular in the 80s, where you had like half the wall was wallpapered with a border, and then the top part of the wall was just white. And so, but my wallpaper around my
that was called poor people's wall.
Do you want to go all the way to the top?
They're like,
you go right here. That's enough. That's enough.
they're like half the square footage if we just do half the wall.
Sure.
You know?
They bought one room's worth of wallpaper and split it between Sarah and I. So, but the wallpaper was this assortment of teddy bears all wearing animal costumes, or at least that's my recollection of it. But teddy bears of sorts. But anyway, but every night when I would go to bed, you know, we would say goodnight, and I would lay in bed, and in the sort of like half lit room, I would have to say goodbye, like make visual eye contact with each bear. There was probably a couple hundred of them, and say goodnight. And if I thought I'd skipped one, I'd have to go back to the beginning. But I was commenting on stage that as I got older, I loosened up a bit, and I would just say goodnight to bunches of them. Like I'd be like, left side, good night, right side, good night. This left side.
It's like lazy OCD.
Yeah, I really got over it. But Sarah was saying that she never said goodnight to any of her stuffed animals on the wallpaper, and that they were probably a bit more well adjusted. But it's nice. It's really nice to be able to reveal that to a couple thousand people.
Well, you know, and it also reveals a lot about who you are as people.
Sure, I think it gives a whole different level to the music, which which is why we probably love to tell stories, which is probably why we have always related well to people who are comedians and storytellers, because ultimately, I suppose at the core of everything we do is a story, and we feel compelled to give so much information about ourselves, even though the songs probably speak well enough.
They speak volumes too.
But I feel like it's a compulsion. I'd rather cut songs out of the set than talk more.
It really connects. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
But it almost looks so rehearsed because your timing was fantastic. But you've never done that. But it was brilliant the way you jumped in and said, I never had bothered talking to him.
Sometimes she gets going on these things, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Funny.
It's like I have to play this
It was brilliant.
And that is the shtick. It's not rehearsed, but I guess that's the shtick. Is 32 years now of watching the other one live through certain experiences. It's like when Sarah relates an experience on stage, I'm the first person to jump in on a mic and say, you know, whatever.
Well, our grandparents used to do that too. Like, I think we learned that straight man routine from them. My grandfather was like, he's still alive, but he's like really extroverted, and he tells these like really ridiculous stories, and they always are different. They sort of like have some of the same elements, but they always evolve. They change. And my grandmother was the straight man. She just would sit and listen, and then she would always add her little, she would always at the end of the story get the biggest laugh, whatever she would say. So I think we learned that, and now it's like we don't rehearse these things, and I couldn't believe that Tegan pulled that out tonight. I mean, I had never thought of that story.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like the hook is still the same, where I think to myself, oh, there must be some way that I can elevate this to be a funny, and it's natural. But I was gonna say, do you ever feel like you go too far on stage? Like, do you ever feel that, or do you ever feel like you've done that? Or?
No, I do. I feel that. Usually it's better if I feel that. I like to feel that. I mean, I'd rather feel that than not going far enough or feeling like I have something left behind. Don't you think that's better? Like to just go as far as you can?
Well, especially you've got people that love, that's what they've come to see Margaret for. Yeah. They've come to go, well, maybe a few might be a bit hesitant, like, let me out here and come pick me up on the way back. But especially down here, you've really pushed it, and it's, Margaret's been, we've been here for a week and a half, and you've developed a whole sort of Australian set of material based on stuff, sort of kicking off from the New Zealand gay marriage passing over there, but humorous takes on it. But then you've done the research, and then but you've really pushed it. This tour here, and it's very unique to here because you can't just take all of these jokes back to the States and here's the stuff we were doing last week in Australia. Although some of it will travel, but
I think so.
But I think that makes it even more personal. But you're not one who shies away from going even further.
Well, it's better, I think, too. Like, I was really disappointed because I came to Melbourne and I've been dating this woman for 3 years, but she's like, we've only seen each other 2 or 3 times, still lesbian. And
that's taking long distance to a new level.
I know, it's so hideous. It's that's sort of a built-in thing. Like, if you're a lesbian, you have to get in a long distance relationship. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's horrible.
It's because they're a seriously codependent in the city relationship, or just a seriously codependent long distance relationship?
Seriously codependent long distance, so much that we hadn't seen each other for 8 months, and then she canceled on me the first night I was there.
Jeez.
And I was so mad.
That would upset me.
I took that as I jumped off with that, and I kept talking about it because I was so upset. But then I kept thinking she was going to hear about it because it's like a small fucking, world, small lesbian world. We all know everything.
Yeah.
So it's like so horrible. So I'm like still worried. Like, but we had like a really difficult time because she lives in Melbourne, and we had a difficult time even connecting. I only saw her like one time.
Right.
The whole week we were together, and it was really hard. And yet we're still. And then we just agreed now. Last time I talked to her, okay, we'll resume this in October when she's going to come to LA. So now. I was talking about this on stage though, and I thought I'm going too far with the honesty here,
Right.
And she's going to find out and kill me.
Right. I have a question. Do you feel like I'm in a relationship that is not like this, but I have been in relationships before where people will say things like, "Yeah, I just can't meet up with you," or like, you are like, for me, I'll just say, like, I have been in relationships where I would have done anything. I would have spent any amount of money.
Yeah.
I would have killed people. I would have whatever it took just to spend time with this person. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, I can't make it work. And like, what is it that allows us to accept that in another person? Because like, if you're the kind of person that will do all of those things, like you're definitely nodding your head. You're like, yeah, totally kill people, fly across the world, whatever it takes. Why do we accept people who are like, no, I have boundaries and I'm busy?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. Well, her boundaries are self-set because she's a fan.
Right.
And she's scared.
Right.
And so that was something she had put out at the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to say, she's just a bitch. And so she just,
whatever. There's that
I'm
too.
I'm gonna go with you on that.
There's also that.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But fears
Fears,
are really valid. I mean, I've been in a relationship almost for 5 years, and the first year was extremely tumultuous, and I chased her for 2 years before that. Mm-hmm. And, when it really came down to it, I kept going back for more because I truly trusted that part of me that was telling me that this was just a fear-based boundary, and that over time she would get over it and let it go, and I would break her down, I would wear her down.
Yeah.
And then she would let me in.
Yeah,
is that what's happening for you?
Yeah, I think so. But she won't even let me in.
Yeah,
she won't even see me to break. And then I'm like, why am I still signing up for this?
Yeah,
and then also signed up for October.
Yeah, that's exciting.
You're right. You already signed up for October. Yeah, you know it.
Sucka.
It's like a workshop. Like I just already reserved my place.
Workshopping.
In the workshop.
You put your down payment down.
I put my down payment down, and I'm waiting.
It's like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Oh my God, October is so far.
It's so far, but I fucking am gonna do it.
But there are so many days between then and now.
But you're allowed to see other people, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, of course. Whatever. But I mean, of course, she really matters, and that's the stupid thing.
Totally. Yeah. But if October's October, then you work towards October.
Yeah, interesting.
It's so
fascinating.
Stupid.
But don't you ever think about Romeo and Juliet and how they just met in like one day and they killed themselves over each other? Like,
isn't that great?
I know, and I'm just like, bitch, you can't see me before October.
I know, it's a long time, but maybe we'll kill each other then. Maybe then we'll die. That would be nice.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's one of those things. I think it's like when you're a touring rock star, this is what you have to go through.
Yeah.
Is those pauses.
Yeah.
In your life, you have to take.
Oh my God, I feel like my last relationship was so long, and only because if I'd just been at home, I would have broken up with her. But it's just like, oh God, just like I would get to a point where I wanted to break up with her, and it was time to go, and I was kind of like sad and codependent, and would be like, oh, next time, go away for 3 months. It's like our 5-year relationship probably would have been about 3 months long, but I just was never there. I didn't have time to break up.
No, we just are always traveling. I mean, we're here on the other side of the world.
Yeah. It's
inconvenient. It's inconvenient, but we have to rock.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see your show again.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to come see you. You're going to be on tour, and for this, this record is so unbelievably great. I mean, all your music is great.
Thank you.
But this record I love so much. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
It's going to be a good year. We're touring all the way until 2014, so lots of opportunity for people to come see us.
Yeah. They should come everywhere. And where can they tweet you?
We're at Tegan and Sara.
And Instagram.
And we're on Instagram, Tegan and Sara. And we're on Tumblr, Tegan and Sara, and Facebook, Tegan and Sara, and then we have teganandsara.com.
And you guys are playing everywhere. It's like I'm seeing you on TV all the time, which is so exciting.
We're really whoring ourselves out on this record. It's great.
You know what? It's great.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's so awesome.
I mean, we've been saying this is like our thing, but like I wish I'd known of a band like us when I was like 15 years old. So the more mainstream things that we can do, the better, because it's just it's like just getting us out to those people that would never have heard of us. Like,
and it's so great for women in rock. It's so great for women. It's so great for young women. It's so great for queer women. It's so great for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love this record. It is so unbelievable. Thank you so much, Tegan and Sara.
Thank you very much
so
to
much.
both of you. Enjoy the rest of your travels.
Thank you. Thank you for talking to us on Monsters of Talk. Woo!